Damn, it's hot in here. All right, send the next bunch in. Take a seat wherever you like. Anywhere, for Christ's sake. God damn it, make up your damn minds. Why's it always gotta be this way? Running stolen cattle through a Texas dust storm. Things are prettier picture in my eye. All right, y'all, listen up. I just had Thatcher and that so-called Mother Teresa in here. Now, I shouldn't have to say anything, but let me give you a little clue as to what's going on. All right? I'm in no mood for either long stories or short excuses. No begging, no sucking up, no goddamn debates neither. That Thatcher can put you through it. Now this is a simple process. It doesn't have to be complicated. Hell, from what I've read in your files, you could practically sew your damn mouths shut and crawl under your chairs and still get in. All except for you. You effer-humper. What is this? About the 10th time you've come in here? When are you going to give it up?
Well, you know what they say about apple pie, Lucifer. They say it makes a man fat and disinclined to eat anything else that might be better for his health. Then they cook it tall and plump in those hot kitchens and set it on the windowsill to catch the cool air. Pretty soon every man in town's lining up outside.
Well, at least you learned to shorten your stories a little bit. They're not still not hard to track. It ain't gonna be easy for you this time neither. Hope you got that straight in your head.
I do.
By the way, what's with the trying a new look this time?
Yeah, maybe I am.
Well, good luck with that. Baker. Good God, woman, what circus did you escape from?
Me? Sir, I'm Tammy Faye.
Baker to me. Stand up.
Yes, sir.
I must admit, Baker, being quite taken with what you want to call here, your resume. You've been a busy little bushwhacking bitch, haven't you? I'm about as thrilled with you as a naked woman on the top of my Cadillac.
No, sir. I mean, what do you mean?
What do I mean? Well, it says in here that you done screwed 500,000 mindless old ladies out of their life savings. You crazy little bitchy dog, up to no good since the day you was old enough to howdy-do shake with one hand and pick your pocket with the other.
I don't understand.
What are you? Some kind of moron? I mean, did you screw them old ladies or not? Did you rob them blind or didn't you? Oh, come on, you moron.
I don't know. Please, Mr. Lucifer, I didn't ask to come here. I was supposed to go to hell.
No, don't you say it. That's the place that's not to be named.
The other place.
That's right. Glad you was paying attention before they brought you in here. Now, how about you take that scarf off your head and give me an ear?
My scarf. But I would prefer.
Prefer? Prefer my ass. First horse shit around here. Lose it. All of you TV evangelists, all of you, every two-bit preacher out of one of the trailer churches they got hidden back in the deep woods, you all give me the same goddamn line. I don't belong here, you say. There must be some kind of mistake. Shit, woman. If you had any backbone in you, you'd have a seat right here beside me. You could run this damn hell for me, and I could take some time off every once in a while. No, it's not how it works with you, is it?
It's all messed up. Rewards are to come from heaven.
No, you say it, and you're on the next cattle car to the processing plant. Idle puppers, you annoy me every time. Now look, you walk up to them pearly gates, strutting like some kind of hen whore, thinks she's gonna get paid for every rooster in the shed. Like you've been putting in your rent all this time, and that you're gonna get a place to rest for eternity. Well, I hear they got a sign up there now. Spells it out clean for you morons. It says, preachers, priests, pastors, deacons, cardinals, TV talk show hosts, all disqualified from entry. And they might as well add another sign to it that says, but hell welcomes one. And we do. Shit, woman, I love that shit you do. And we have it all. We got ice cold beer, hot cars, all you can eat buffets, top 40 music with Casey Kasem, Oprah Winfrey reruns, poker, blackjack, and slots that pay off every time. Shit, woman, I love that stuff you do. We even got stuff that might even appeal to you. Like, I don't know, jewelry or potato chips or enough makeup to paint the side of the house with. And it's all free.
I mean, sure, I'd like some of those things. But it's all messed up. Mr. Lucifer, my husband and I, my first husband, we've been through so much. We lost my dear, beloved mother not too long ago. And Lord knows, oh yes he does, he was such a powerful spirit in our lives. So devout and wholesome and sweet and holy. And ever since my own departure, I have spared not a moment in my search for her, and have petitioned at the Lord's dear, precious feet. My head bowed, my hands raised in prayerful obedience. And my husband, oh, how my husband has prayed. How to the point of utter exhaustion he has prayed. And I know that the Lord has heard us and seeks to make all well again. And just needs the tiniest tribute in the form of delight.
No, enough of that. You really don't have a clue as to what this is about, do you, Tenney Fatty? You Bible thumpers have got the wind of a herd of sick cows and the brains of a goddamn ant. Look, it's real simple. All you gotta do is say one little old thing. Here it is. I done good, didn't I, Mr. Lucifer? May I come in? Oh, the hell with it. There's your damn pass.
I done good, ain't I, Mr. Lucifer? May I come in?
Khomeini. What's that? Some kind of Arab name, huh?
Parsi.
Persian. That's like Persian, isn't it? Arab, Parsi. What's the difference?
Parsi conquered world, build a great city. Arab is a sand monkey.
Sand monkey, huh? I think I get the picture. There. We'll have to talk about the distinction later. Maybe we can talk about having you Persians there in Greece that one time, too. You think? So you were a big deal in Iran. Persia, I take it. The top dog, head honcho, commander-in-chief and all that. Well, we got plenty of that type around here, Khomeini. Not much room at the top. But I think we can accommodate a man of your skills. Well, let's see what your file has to say about it. Looks like you started a couple of wars. But they didn't end all that hot. That's what we call busted ops around here. Plenty of bodies to get our attention, though. You might be surprised to know that bodies stack up here higher than Windsor losses. Some gruesome shit, too. Beheadings. Even a couple of your own men who failed in their duties. Maybe a couple of others that you knocked off for reasons of your own. Yes, sir. What else does your file have to say?
Where I find Saddam?
Saddam Hussein?
Saddam, you have him here? This
We have
place?
Saddam. We have Saddam here. Sure we do. Admirable fellow, really. Very adaptable. Cooperative. Got the shit kicked out of him down there, but he mans up to it.
No, Saddam. Saddam is camel turd. I kill him when I see.
It don't work that way. Man's already dead. We do permit psychological torture from time to time if the conditions are right. What we call mission favorable. File indicates you have some skill in that area. We might be able to accommodate you after all. I could use a man with your skills. But we like things around here to be neat and orderly, high and tight, polished, shiny smooth. You got a razor? I can see that you're probably going to turn into a troublemaker, Khomeini. Not that I mind troublemakers. I'm kind of partial to them. As long as they're not making any trouble for as long as they make trouble for anybody but me. You get that?
You have virgin here?
What's that?
Virgin! 29 virgin I want.
Oh, 29 virgins. Well, I'll check with procurement. Get right on that. You know what? I recall hearing this morning that we're down to 28. You think I can owe you on that last one? Can I owe you that one?
I wait. Also, music. Persian music. And feast. Great feast. And bath for virgin.
Oh, of course. Baths for virgins. What the hell kind of outfit do you think we're running down here? You're confused as a private baker here. Jumping Jesus on a pogo stick. You think you could just tear ass around the desert for 50 years, deflowering everything in sight, and then show up at a place like this and find virgins? Hell, we don't even have virgins. They don't have virgins at that other place anymore.
Where I find Allah? You, not Allah. You, imposter, son of bitch. I am Ayatollah, supreme leader. What are you? I defeat the sons of Satan, the American pigs. I chase them to the sea. I burn them in great fire to dust. Jimmy Carter, he the pig of all pigs. He the mother of all Satan. Allah be praised. Carter fought to destruction. I defeat the Carter pig. I defeat the Reagan pig and all American pigs.
Yeah, that's better. Get points for that shit around here, right? Walk right into HQ and insult the top general. Not bad. But you may be confused about a few things. First of all, you may be misled about that Jimmy Carter. He sure as hell ain't mother of Satan. I would know. Second, as I recall, both Carter and Reagan moved on from that shit. Made a little name for themselves. We have one of them here, as a matter of fact. But arrogance is commendable. Bravado. I'd like to be able to use a man with your qualities after all. It's just a matter of where to put you for a little bit of that polishing. Let's see. Attila? No. Adolf. Adolf has a knack for taking a lump of cold iron and turning it into a marvel of flesh-grinding efficiency. Yeah. We can use your skills after all. And by the way, Private, we speak English around here. You know, the language of authority, of kings and queens, empire and all that. You may not be familiar with the Bibles. Me, I've read them all. King James is tops. I'm in it, you know. Learn the language, Clancy. Do you expect to make anything else of yourself around here?
No, Virgin. I want that one.
Holy shit, Clancy. Don't get all desperate on me. I'll tell you what we can do. I can hook you up with, Catherine the Great. She was through here last week. Now there's a woman. Big Kate, we like to call her. Oh, now wait a minute. I'm mistaken. I think Clooney's into that action now. That Clooney, he could ring a date out of a bowling ball.
No for that one, Kate. I like little one. I want a little one called Baker. And I want DVR. I want Terminator movie.
Well, we can accommodate your choice of movies. We've got some Stallone. You like Stallone?
No like that one. No like Clooney. I want Terminator. I take Zellweger. Diary of Bridget Jones.
Diary of Bridget Jones. Classic. You got it, big guy. Do you need that in subtitles? Oh, wait a minute. I don't think we have any in Parsi. I could check for you, but I don't think it's going to turn out the way you're leaning. We do have plenty in Iraqi. You know, Arab. Pretty sure we do.
I no stay here. You make fun of me, disrespect me. I no shave, no wear clothes of Satan, nor obey pigs.
Mr. Ayatollah, let me assure you that I am looking out for your best interests here. As your commanding officer, I could simply order you to take whatever I'm handing out. But I'm attempting to negotiate. Tends to work out better that way. Not going to negotiate, huh? Have you thought of the alternative? Nothing. No hell, no heaven, just nothing. Nada, zip, zilch, endless. Kind of like being wrapped in pigskin, buried underneath 1,000 feet of bricks for all of eternity. In fact, I could arrange that very scenario for you. Now look, Saddam keeps to himself around here. It's a big place, so you're not likely to run into each other. It's a lot bigger than the other place. Has to be, really. By the way, that thing's not going to work unless I'm holding it.
No pigskin. No pig.
Now look, Manny. Trying to work with you here. Looking through your file here. We could use a man like you. We can accommodate most tastes. It's just that some, like virgins, stretch our resources. I can get you maybe one in a pinch. One. Probably an old one. Probably disagreeable in other ways as well. But, like a good meal, or even a bad one, once it's eaten, no longer a meal anymore.
The old shoe fits better than the new one, sir. Appearances be damned, Lucifer. I am naturally inclined to the ancient and the unsightly, where hard-lived years have etched the lineaments of story.
Yeah. Wait a minute. Yes. The court will come to order. The accused will stand before the bench. I just love that hearty ceremonial shit. No one does it better than we English, hey, Mr. Hitchens? Wouldn't you say? These two, Canadian beggar, they appear as mere brutes along men of our finance, wouldn't you say, sir? Neither one of them had the courage to confront their God, only the opportunity to slyly misinterpret him. But you, Mr. Hitchens, I dare say, you took it upon yourself to rewrite the Lord's holy commandments. Not that I would prefer yours to his personally. Those were a bit soft, almost tender-hearted. But I do admire the spirit. The audacity.
If you will.
You, Mr. Hitchens, are a bit of a puzzle to me. Your cynicism, we have a common nemesis, you know. So we're bound by a common foe. Your file leaves no doubt as to your disdain for my nemesis, which, as I said, binds us as a common foe. But I wonder, does your disdain extend as far as, well, it seems to go to any god, any religion known to man. This too I find to my liking. But I wonder, sir, does it extend as far as the anti-god? This is my concern, you see.
I do, if you must persist. I'm fond of quoting Voltaire on this one. When asked on his deathbed to renounce the devil, the man muttered that it was the wrong time to be making enemies. Look, any who submit to unseen, unevidenced authority, or who proffer such authority unto others, offends the thoughtful. Hope moves neither molecule nor mountain.
I agree with you completely, sir. Unseen, unevidenced, an article of faith, a mere idea, the wind which moves not the leaves of grass and touches not the senses. But I offer this to you, sir. I submit, the anti-god offers no hope.
Open any history book and you'll read how the treacherous, the advantage they claim to fraudulent authority and use it to subdue the masses or to further enrich themselves. The anti-god is no less a fiend for power, no less the enfant terrible, no less the vanity.
Sir, I take it you're a man of the common people, are you? Do you envision a world without authority?
Truth and justice will do.
Truth. Oh, one of my favorite words. Perhaps it's because it's so vague and it could use a good kicking around.
Don't want to go down that road, do you?
Oh, but I do. Well, at least as far as the first intersection. I suspect we might encounter a red light when we get there.
No truth with a capital T. It's more the search for it that matters, and how we search for it, really. Truth is the ground on which we stand for the moment, as we look ahead to where we will take our search further.
Perhaps I understand you. Truth is a mere ideal, but justice is another ideal, but fleeting, not dependable, not solid ground. Do I have that?
Not bad.
And this, humanity is a work of art in progress, not just some random assortment of random ideas and foul urges. How disappointing for you, Mr. Hitchens. How disappointing. I would share your disappointment, sir, but who do we have to blame for that muddle? Oh, yes, my nemesis. Yes, I would share your disappointment, but I have Too many other issues with that pompous ass.
You do amuse me. Tell me something of yourself.
Well, why should I? If you haven't figured me out by now, you will have shortly.
Still working on it.
Yes, quite. I suspect that we don't have the options that you would favor here. Well, you know, at the end of the day, we do have our rules here. We are more free-spirited, but no more free than the other place, really. If you haven't guessed, I run things. I do cut a lot of slack, as the Americans are fond of saying, but in the end, my word is the final word. I suspect you might favor a third option.
Giving it serious consideration at the moment.
Humor me. Allow me to hear those thoughts.
Ooh, not telepathic like the other guy, eh?
Oh, no. Neither one of us, really. That's just some silly notion that the Egyptians... Was it the Egyptians? Well, anyway, somebody came up with that idea a long time ago. Never saw the need to set it straight, you know.
It's not expecting an afterlife. Especially one that was also all too familiar. This has taken me back a bit.
Well, it's not an uncommon reaction. Can you imagine how it was for poor old Nietzsche? But he's here, having a gay old time of it as well.
I'm afraid it's not possible for me. If this is the truth of things, your sense of humor aside, the omega point, then count me hopelessly unfit for it. If this is justice for the compassionate and honorable, then count me incurably mad.
Well, Mr. Hitchens, you seem to doubt my authority. If I am, as you think, a man with no true authority, if I'm merely a charlatan, one that you say you are all too familiar with, then tell me, sir, what do you know about what lies beyond that door?
These proceedings, as you call them, are a sham, as I suspect. What purpose could it serve? What matters what lies beyond that door? More irrelevancies. If there is some expediency here of which I am yet to detect a hint, some value to all this, then make it evident. Here are files there. You know who and what we are. Nothing really have to prove there, now is there?
Well, I could answer your question, sir, but what credence would you give my answer? Where does your skepticism lead you except to ever more doubt?
You champion yourself, an entity, who wields of great influence, who wields power to rival what we mere humans attribute to gods. I challenge you to evidence that power. Render Mr. Kamini here an adept speaker of the language, if you please.
This is more than I could hope for. This is just tremendous. Do you see, sir, how truly self-defeating that would be? I mean, would Twain reveal the ending to one of his stories midway through? The story collapses. These proceedings, sir, are our stories this day. And for all we know, they may be all we have for the rest of eternity. Shan't we keep the mystery a mystery?
There's always a way out for you guys, isn't there? How do I know that beyond that door, there may be no way out for me? Your false generosity, a mere bait on the hook. Your mystery, a fish of no flesh.
I can only assure you, sir, that truth remains a possibility, and justice a promise at best.
Quite. Now, explain to me how you do this processing for every person that's died. The logistics don't seem plausible.
Well, oh, you mean the everyday types, the low-level sinners and sliders, the meek. Well, some go to the other place. Most we just run through here, senioritas, you might say. I only have time for the big-time scoundrels, the celebrity no-goods, the elite scoundrels, backstabbers and crooks, the ones that make a big splash to have media coverage, you might say. I get most of my leads from Fox News, actually. The ones they have good things to say about. You, Mr. Hitchens, you were almost under the radar. Had to do a bit of digging.
Well, I'm happy to hear it may have been some trouble to you.
Oh, yes. That's what I like about you. Your propensity for trouble. I understand you were a bit of trouble to the Ayatollah in the waiting room.
Merely an overhand right that missed its mark.
Influenced perhaps by your choice of beverage, sir? It's my understanding that you hit our whiskey stores much harder than the Ayatollah's chin.
Both a disappointment, I'm afraid.
Some lingering bitterness over the rusty fatwa, I presume. It's best to get a fresh start, good chap. Check your baggage, as they say.
Sure. Now, perhaps you'll enlighten me into the nature of these proceedings. You seem to stand in some form of judgment over your guest. You seem eager to raise up our flaws and chew on them like savory meats. You profess to favor them, yet you would mock us for them. Where lies the moral basis for your judgment? Why would I, or Twain, or Baker, for that matter, be called alongside a judgment next to a fanatical butcher?
Moral basis? Who says I need one? I'm not even sure I know what that is. Think of me as more of a, well, I don't know, a decision maker rather than a judge. Someone like a grocery buyer who selects for taste rather than nutrition. Does that ring the morality out of it for you, old boy?
Call it whatever you like. It seems I have reached no place of consequence as yet.
Take it from me, Hitchens. I've been in these parts a while. This is your best bet.
Can a man at least get a decent drink in here?
I've lost count, Twain. How many times is this now?
You were close. This is number 11.
Number 11. Tell me, what kind of security did they have in that place up there?
More than you might think, Lucifer. Even so, there are more escape plots than angels on the head of, well, screw the damn cliches. Let's just say that I have some connections on the inside who are masters at avoiding detection.
Well, I wouldn't feel too special about it if I was you, Twain. We've been getting a haul to runaways lately. Now tell me, how do you compensate these friends of yours?
With the only currency available around here, entertainment.
Stars, you mean? And they find that adequate, considering the risks?
Indeed, they do. There was a man imprisoned in my hometown jail once. His name was Rutherford P. Jones. Likeable man, worthless criminal. I recall he had stolen a sack of tomatoes from a local farmer's garden shed. Goes without saying he was a black man, else they would never have jailed him. But I sat down for a time outside the jail door and conversed with Rutherford, swapping stories mainly. His family was from upriver a ways, so not much was known about the character of this man they were fixing to hang for a minor offense. Some people just get it in their heads that they got to hang someone now and again. Isn't it funny how it is that the ones they pick out are the ones most different from themselves, or the ones they can hold suspicions about because they don't know them? Well, Rutherford was to hang the next day, and hang he did. The last thing he said upon that hanging contraption was, "I got a belly full of tomatoes, oh Lord, and a mind full of kind tales. So take me now, if you please."
That's it? I'm not sure I get your point on this one.
It ain't some hidden treasure or anything, Lucifer. Keep it simple. Stories fill the mind and heart like food does the gut. Over there in the other place, they feed you well enough, but they are short on stories. Imagination. It's funny how the Bible's chock full of them, but the other place, it's so damn skimpy. It's like they think they got all the work done 3,000 years ago, and now there's nothing left to be said. A starving soul needs food. I don't care where he lives or in what times. All these years, I've suspected it's different here on your plantation. Her tell it is.
You always roll out a good pitch, Twain. But I just don't see it in your files. I might have been a philanderer here, the blasphemy concealed. Why not be like Hitchens over there and shout it out? What are you afraid of? Reproach? A man of your intellect? Subservient to social norms?
I concede weakness by your standards, Lucifer. I wanted my share of good times, but I didn't want to steal and murder to get it. The curse of morality, if that's how you want it. But I did leave a legacy. How often am I quoted today by the non-believers? Mr. Hitchens himself has done it.
I respect deeds, not words, sir, on this plantation. I've told you that every time you come.
Words are deeds. Don't you see? The story is a thing. It abides. It continues to instruct. In my case, it embeds into the minds of youth suspicions about the authority of society and its teachings. Mr. Hitchens is most clever, but his words are brusque. And for some, may I say, deep water. They often scare away those who might be reached in more subtle, yet common ways.
Story's a thing, you say. Well, I got things all over this plantation. I can walk up with any one of them and kick it. And if it squeals or sounds off or moves, I know I've gotten into it. I find y'all notions of things immaterial most disturbing, but I cannot put my finger on why.
Well, sometimes it works the other way, Lucifer. The thing, it kicks you. You feel something, then you've been kicked.
Oh, aren't they gonna miss you up there, Twain? I would hate to soil my reputation by making off with something they hold dear.
I can assure you, sir, they hold yourself in the highest regard, and always will. Unimpeachable you are in those quarters. There was an old woman who lived in Hannibal, Missouri, down in one of the washes by the river. She preferred to keep to herself, but could be seen about town now and then. Anyway, the town leaders tried to chase her out countless times, for it seemed she was some kind of a thorn in their side. Being a child myself, I suspected something simple, like jealousy or fear. But more likely it was something more political or money related. Rumors of witchcraft were spread. A huddle of mysteriously dead livestock was found near her place. And on quiet winter nights, a keen ear could make out eerie moans emanating from the wash. Such was the word on the street that everyone was supposed to believe, only no one did. The woman had a much different reputation among the common folks. A devoted nurse to the sick, baker of sugar cookies that made your mouth water just to think of them. A sure source of $1 or $2 if you were in a pinch. No one missed her funeral. Even the town leaders felt obliged to turn out, lest they suffer in the next election. And I believe we children missed her the most.
Twain, if I turn you loose on my plantation, don't tell him what's gonna come of it. The place is in fine order. Everybody knows his or her rank and role. They like things the way they are. I mean, even Mr. Hitchens there will find himself a nice little station, if not truth and justice. As far as Baker and Khomeini, well, I doubt if any of your stories will find any residents there, so there's not much to trouble myself with on that account. Allow me to think on All right, I'm ready. Send him back in. Another day of pleadings, complaints, and transients. All manner of random, obscure arguments, and the most nauseating forms of flattery. Only Twain seems to understand it. You're welcome here. If you are, you're decidedly unwelcome anywhere else. Baker, you're nothing more than a gold-digging scoundrel. Can we at least get that much established in your head? I mean, maybe one day you'll appreciate the subtlety of it. Maybe not. But you get in. You really are unfit for anything else. Same with you, Amy. I mean, cultural considerations aside, you are one insufferable son of a bitch who should take whatever fate shoves up his ass. Lucky for you, today's fate is me. And you get in. And before you start to complain, I want you to think about that pigskin scenario we discussed. Mr. Hitchens, you get in because I have high hopes for you. Must be a new arrival.
State of emergency.
Yes. I look forward to discussing with you the nature of reality and the nature of free will. You're the one here that has the advantage of having nothing to lose. So suck it up. Go for it. Twain, I can argue with myself forever. Seems to me, though, that 11 escapes should be worth something, whatever it signifies. So you get in. But don't flaunt it. And behave yourself for a while. All right, everybody. There's the door.
Oh, Lord! I pray in most sincere humility now. I will be better. I have seen the error of my ways. I was an innocent child in the hands of evil men. I fell into their midst. I could not see the worldly hold that they would have on me. Oh, Lord! Oh, Lord! Rescue this innocent child from hell!
No, my dear, we are not innocent. We are foolish, ignorant and foolish. Hardly more a crime than the stealing of a few tomatoes. Do you think Rutherford P. Jones was innocent? Of course not. He knew he was breaking the law. Just for the moment, he chose to follow a different law, perhaps his own, that told him when hungry he had a right to food. A foolish choice, given the severe consequences, but a choice it was his human right to make.
I don't understand you!
I believe what Mr. Twain is saying, Miss Baker, is that your plea for innocence is no more honest than any of your prior actions. He suggests you may be blameless, however, due to some fundamental flaw in all humans. If God made us this way, how could he damn us for it?
Then why must I go to hell? Hell is for people like him.
As Mr. Twain would have us believe, we are all equal, no matter the breadth or depth of our atrocities.
Well said, sir. Perhaps a little more compassion would dampen the sting, but soundly put.
You fear the Great One, all you infidels. You fear the most blessed one. He stands behind that door. No one else could it be to bring me here. Allah is all. You are all fools, as this man Twain say. All fools who will taste the bitter sword of Allah. I go to meet my father. You come with me now. You come.
Oh, God! Mr. Lucifer, please! Please!
I didn't think of that. It might be just what you deserve.
Oh! Oh!
Hey, it might be what you deserve, too.
No matter. Foolish woman!
At least one of us has a clue.
Uncle? Is he now?
Yeah, like a bad odor and a stiff breeze, I'd say.
Do I have to go to hell, Mr. Twain?
Miss Baker, did we have a choice passing into the worldly life? I don't recall having one. That didn't turn out so bad, did it? All of that palaver about my 11 escapes from heaven, well, that's just talk, you know? Storytelling. I was someplace, but it wasn't heaven, not as you would understand it. I have no more choice than you here. We go through that door because that's where we go. Isn't that right, Mr. Hitchens? That's the only door there is.
Clearly. You spend all your life trying to climb to the top of the pile of crap, but it just piles higher on you. Mr. Lucifer, I'll see what you have behind that door. Alternative 3, that is still open if I need it.
Well, I could be lying if I said it was. I could be lying if I said it wasn't.
Yeah.
Man,
You are no bigger fool than I, Miss Baker. Won't you join me?
you only find such clueless in organized religion. Well, that could have been worse. I tried to be good to him, passing through here. But who knows? I wouldn't worry about him if I were you, if you're so inclined. Maybe as Mr. Twain divines, they're going on to another adventure. No way of knowing for sure, but I trust that man's instincts. Sure, I'm hard on them when they come through here, passing through. You heard the worst of it, my hellfire and brimstone I give him in these interviews. But what kind of story would we have if I didn't? Yeah, I'm sure you're kind of clued into that fact too. There's not really another place. At least not the heaven you mortals imagine it to be. No hell neither, for that matter. You know, they don't pay me enough for this stuff. I'm gonna take me a long weekend. As soon as we get rid of it, over this next bit of business. Wait a minute. I'm so sorry. Did I leave the impression that it was all over for our guests? I am so sorry. Well, as sorry as the devil can be. Kind of like wringing a drop of orange juice out of a dried up lemon. Yeah, I got Nixon coming up soon. And Queen Victoria. I expect a lot of trouble from Nixon. Both of them are running returns. Scared, freaked out runaways. What y'all think of heaven is enough for them for a while. But eventually, they all make their way back down here to me. Definitely going to need a long weekend. As soon as we get over this next hurdle. Long weekend. Thank you, Lord! Okay, y'all have the files, read the transcripts from my interviews. I really wish we could make this a lot easier, run them all through in a singular manner, but as you can see, they're kind of a mixed lot. So, where should we begin?
Take them in order, I say.
Sure.
Yes.
All right then, Baker, Jesus, you'll represent. Who wants to impeach?
I will impeach.
What is with you, Muhammad? Is it that you just like hammering the Christians? Or are you just like taking the easy ones, the low-hanging olives?
Ha! You think Christians are easy? They would be if I had my way, but with you representing them, I've got all of your horseshit to slog through.
Okay, can we just get them done and not stampede right into the sideshow?
I do my job, O sullen one, most sartorial ingrate. I have to counter every baseless, spiteful accusation that you throw out there, Muhammad. Now, if that's too much for you, maybe you should put your foot off the gas.
Shit. And you might try dressing in some way approximating the seriousness of our work.
Oh, of course, in some way suited to these fine furnishings Lucifer here has provided us.
Okay, enough! Muhammad, Baker.
The woman is what the Bedouins say, a poisoned well. Drink from there and you're sick as a dog for a month. Stay away. Furthermore, she has no idea what she is or what she should be. No perspective. Full of the most foul corruption and hasn't the slightest sense of it. Can't see that her own shit is brown. Believes that what's good for the world is what's good for her. Her personal wealth and status is a necessary component for the welfare of others. Does anyone else see the logic in that? Not I. That should be all I need to say on it.
I won't argue that she's not confused. Intellectually challenged, I would even say. But her heart, surprising as this might sound, it's in the right place. She truly does want to do good, and she does believe that what's good for her is good for everyone else. I mean, you all read her transcripts. The woman hasn't the foggiest notion of her own offenses, her own violations of universal values. I mean, this is self-deception of the profoundest kind. Purely instinctual, not at all conscious. In a word, she's helpless. Not responsible, not guilty. And yes, Muhammad, that is 3 words. A lot for you, but they all apply.
See what I mean? She piles the horse shit so high you need a degree in horse shitology to dig your way out. So you see your way to sending this woman on? What in hell is she going to do at the next level when she can't manage the last one? Did I say can't manage? She couldn't find Canada with a $500 Bruton compass and a stiff northerly wind. Are we to send on every soul too dumb to handle his or her worldly affairs? It doesn't get any easier as you move along, you know.
It's the insensitivity that gets me. The unfiltered meanness of spirit. You see, he understands every word I say, but he can't bring himself to agree. He sees it, but be damned if he'll say it. Cough it out, you black-hearted snake. Show a hint of empathy for once in your pitiful existence. People suffer. You know, they go through life looking for some sort of security. And what do we give them? You know, a few material comforts and then a vast assortment of fraudulent, dysfunctional, self-serving preachers and churches. What chance do they have?
Good God, how low do we have to set the bar around here? All we ask is some faint sign of progress. Do something down there that shows potential. If, what's her name? Baker wants to fatten her bank account at the expense of fools, I'll go along with that for a minute or two. That's just how things work down there. But give something back once in a while.
She had some nice things to say about the blacks.
I'm sure she did, when it suited her. By the way, who told her what to say? Media consultants, I'd expect.
Katama, Thalia, any comments? By the way, Thalia, have you met the rest of the panel?
Oh, Jesus and I have done this sort of thing before. Gautama Buddha, I believe we have met, but in an informal setting, as I recall.
This is true. Hello again, Miss Thalia.
Hello to you. I like your hair.
Thought I would try this.
Muhammad, Dahlia here is one of the 9 muses. Or is it 6? I don't have to call on you muses all that often, and I never was good with numbers anyway.
It is 9, and you're not the only one confused about it.
Glad to hear it. Any comments then?
Well, it is most difficult in these cases where we cannot be certain of the mortal's capacity for clear thinking.
Well, yeah. Anything else? It is too bad we have the neuroscientists down there haven't figured out how to read minds yet. That'd come in handy, wouldn't it?
Are you being serious, Mr. Lucifer? I'm never sure with you.
Well, yeah, I was only speculating, but I was serious. I understand they have made some progress in that area.
Well, oh my, perhaps I shouldn't say anything.
Please do.
Well, I don't really like to strike the downbeat. I don't feel I've earned the right yet, but this bothers me. We have to wait for the mortals to develop the technology to do what we claim we can already do?
Reading minds, you mean? I don't think any of us here would claim we can do that. No, we definitely can't do that.
I'm sorry.
That's the hope that one day we will be able to.
I thought you knew what I meant in a more general sense. In a sense that we are responsible for determining their fates. Are we not much more advanced than the mortals in all respects?
Not many I can think of. I mean, usually it's the mortals who claim that we can do all these things that we can't do. I really wish they'd lay off, too. I mean, especially with the pile of evidence right in front of their noses that we're not exactly gifted with an arsenal of special powers.
Well, it's the science and technology that gets me. You know, nobody around here seems to have an explanation for dark energy, for that matter. You know, it's nice seeing the mortals actually looking into it, coming up with some really interesting ideas. Not a soul around here thought of evolution until Darwin thought of it.
If we could read their minds, what would we do differently?
I'll answer that. We would know when they say one thing or do one thing, but think another. We could judge them on what they think, not what they say or do. That way we can hold them accountable without doubting ourselves.
Oh, that's right.
They seem to think in all directions. In my line of work, it's all I can do to get them to focus for a brief moment on an original, pure thought, a single perspective. It's a whirlwind inside their brains, and perhaps because the world that we give them is a whirlwind in itself. Do you think that might be it?
This is true. The world is a beehive of distractions. No way to avoid the stinging but to turn everything off.
But even if they could think clearly, should we judge them on thought alone? Another unassailable brainchild from one of our greatest sages. Oh no, we shouldn't judge them on the actions of those thoughts, just the thought. A mere feeble thought, perhaps triggered by something someone else had said, or a random association. Please, Muhammad, a good man or woman may have an evil thought, but not act upon it due to their goodness. Perhaps we should define goodness as the denial of action upon those thoughts.
Interesting.
Uh-huh. The horseshit meter just busted its spring. How about we define badness then? Observable action upon evil thoughts. Planning, rehearsing, and implementing the rotten deed, and gleefully parading your success. Which brings us back to Earth and to Mrs. Baker.
No way, no evidence of evil thoughts there.
Oh, come on. She can't act without a thought to initiate the action. What kind of gullible rube are you, Jesus?
Hey, no name calling. We agreed on that.
Are you kidding me? You already let her get away with ingrate snake. I get a couple of comebacks in here.
Oh, I'm sorry. I missed those. You guys are just too quick for me.
I think I agree with Jesus in cases like this. Perhaps she was directed by evil thoughts that she didn't recognize as evil. Thoughts put into her head by others.
Christ.
Atama?
What a muddle it is. I only hope that someday things will be clearer here than they are down below. I am most inclined to send them back in only the most severe cases. Perhaps we can offer her some counseling before we pass her on. Help her to self-understanding. I have several techniques.
Bullshit. If we don't send the crooked preachers on to pay for their crimes, who do we send back? These guys and women are the worst. Why? Because they have no delusions about what they do. They are not helpless robots who are deformed at birth. They learned and practiced their trade.
I think the murdering imams might edge them out, actually. Crooked preachers may steal money, but they do not, as rule, lop off the head of their suckers when done with them.
Better that they did. The preachers string them along, leave them to suffer such maltreatment for the rest of their lives. Blind and helpless moths encased in the web of the sadistic spider.
Okay, that's enough. I'm going to call this one. Otherwise, we're going to spend eternity arguing the same issues back and forth on every case. I'm sending Baker on, not back.
Right.
I can't agree with Katana completely, though. I mean, sure, she could use some counseling all right if she was headed back down. They got plenty of that stuff down there. I've even heard they got, like, recovering groups for religious fanatics, you know? People who are indoctrinated as children or spend a little too much time being homeschooled. Anyway, next level should deal with that stuff much more efficiently.
Good luck with that. I hope Dr. Freud is ready for it up there. Anyway, we've got one of my fanatics coming up next. Let's see how that rolls out.
All right, Khomeini. Muhammad, you're going to represent Jesus. I'm guessing you're going to want to impeach on this one.
I will.
Thalia, you might want to pay close attention to this one. It's not much of a literary interest, but more so the opposite. Look at it as a repression of the arts, the Persian variety. Not too much different than like the Middle Ages in Europe or one of several Chinese dynasties.
I see that in the file.
Are you going to do my job for me here, Lucifer?
I'm sorry, I was just going to have a teachable moment.
I will speak to this now. I've had my eye on this one for some time. A man with a stone heart. A man who believed himself to be entitled, born to power and privilege that he might personally enforce the will of Allah. Not a cajoler or a deceiver such as Baker, but a tyrant. A master in the exercise of brute authority. Without a sense of fallibility, without the blessings of doubt. A destroyer of lives, to be certain, and often for reasons undeserved and purposes poorly contrived. Damn this man to the fiery pit that gapes before us there!
So, Muhammad, you represent this guy by damning him right out of the gate? What's left for Jesus? I'm not sure. You may have broken protocol on this one.
Well, I could add
Spare
that
me! Spare all of us! I have dug this man's grave and dumped the body into it. Just cover it up and say nothing.
Muhammad, I've got to ensure that proper representation exists on both sides of the issue.
Well, I could add that Khomeini may have freed his people from a culturally erosive and corrupt monarchy. But then again, did he give them anything better?
Of course not.
I mean, did he release the innocent from prison, or did he visit local hospitals or dog shelters? Did he write a children's book, or did he even pray for world peace, even once? Well, not even a plea for forgiveness due to mental ineptitude, Muhammad. You know, I thought you were trying to get back at me for Baker. Thought you were headed that way.
You forgive the wind that blows dust in your eye, not the bastard who kicks it in your face. What about you, Jesus? Miss Forgiveness herself? It's your back door, is it not? Soon as matters get a little ugly, when you have no real solution to offer, you grab onto forgiveness. You made a strength out of your weakness. A holy principle out of cowardly convenience.
I could simply say hello to this goat herder with a chance that he'd crucify me for it.
All your spite, and you have as much as anyone, you spend on me, leaving none for the million others who truly deserve it.
Have you not forgiven, Muhammad? What about all of your zealots that followed you? Centuries of them. Yes, they were loyal, but they mutilated your teachings like cannibal on a corpse. Hell, my zealots even changed my gender.
Have you seen any of them make it through here yet? You won't, as long as I have anything to say about it.
Jesus! And I mean you, Jesus, and you, Mohammed. Can we both just stick to the subject? As I have it, you both think Khomeini is a valuable candidate to recycle. Gautama, Thalia, anything to add to this stew?
what do you make of this man? Is he not merely one manifestation of the poorly assembled elements of the world? One of many? Must there not be many who are born into a world that where have never meets want, where all that rises soon sinks, all that is loved fades into the setting sun, where all that is, where joys are uncertain and brief, but suffering is guaranteed for a lifetime? Was he not a son of the world? Where were the misshapen angles of his soul forged? Did he set forth a monster, or was he destined by his circumstances?
Who cares? The correct question is, can he move forward? Can a camel born with a broken back even rise to its feet? If ruined by unlucky circumstance, I say send him back for major reconstruction.
If I might say, if what Gautama Buddha suggests is true, that all mortals are the products of the world into which they are born, and that world is a world given to them by the gods, well, how do we not pass along all of them? On the other hand, Mohammed's point is more subtle. Perhaps that world is not so definite, neither perfect nor imperfect on the whole, but a world that offers many opportunities. Why not send them back with the hopes that they will do better? Does not the Buddha's own philosophy condemn each mortal to rebirth until they've reached enlightenment?
Well, I guess I need to speak to that. Yes, I taught in my early days something along those lines. But as you see, times change. I have taken another view of this. Clearly, full enlightenment is not necessary. This can come only after many levels have been achieved, as I now see, such is the nature of things. Also, I prefer to ask questions these days and to cut back on giving answers. The best solutions come through discussion and not through solitary meditation, which, as I should know, can lead you down some pretty strange roads.
Where does that fun box you listen to there take you?
This. Today I listened to Tolle. He has interesting things to say about the now.
Really? You listen to Tolle about the now?
Indeed.
All right, let's move things along.
Wait a second. We can't move on. We have Gautama taking counsel from Eckhart Tolle. Am I the only one concerned about this? Jesus, you can't feel too comfortable about this.
Mohammed, what is it?
What do you mean?
I mean, when our Mohammed here cracks a joke, then things get scary in here. Let's review our fundamental assumptions, all right? First, 1, if they're not ready and we send them on, they usually don't improve. 2, if they're ready to move on and we send them on, they usually will improve. 3, if they're ready to move on and we send them back, they usually won't improve. These are our assumptions, the tendencies. Jesus and Mohammed, you agree that Khomeini is not ready. Gautama, Dahlia, appear to support that decision. Anything wrong with that, Mohammed?
4, those who are not ready cannot improve if you send them on. Why do you always forget that one, Lucifer?
I don't know. I always get confused by the damn things when I say them out loud anyway. I'm surprised I got 3 of them right. You know what I meant anyway.
We know that all who are not ready must be sent back. They have to earn it. You don't earn it, go back and try again. Not joking.
They need free will to do that, to earn it. We haven't talked about free will yet.
Oh, no. I mean, oh, yes, we have. Every time we do this. We're not going to go there today. If we had that piece left off the picture, there wouldn't even be a picture or a portrait without a face or something like that.
Well, and let's not forget that not all who are not ready and sent back will improve.
What? I counted 3 knots in that indecipherable blabber.
Congratulations, Mohammed. You can count to 3. Now, for the rest of you, let me illustrate. Take TV guy Bill O'Reilly. The man's been an egocentric blowhard and showman since he started out as a snake charmer in the Indus Valley over 3,000 years ago. I remember when he used to do inquisitions for the Spanish Catholics. 15 CE sometime? No, he never burned anybody. But let's get real. He really enjoyed his time on the stage that some of the trials couldn't even be concluded. Eventually, the church had to find something else for him to do. What was, oh yeah, it was selling fraudulent land titles to German Protestants who wanted to up their social standing. The man may never get it. Not in 1,000 tries.
Really jumped on that one, Jesus. Got a little spite left after all?
There aren't many.
Great. So what are you saying? That we should take this Bill O'Reilly and send him on because sending him back is hopeless?
That's precisely what she's saying. Just like with Baker. She wants to make exceptions to our assumptions.
Okay. Khomeini goes back to earn it. Eventually, I hope.
So be it. Now then, how do we send on this Baker, who in a long life never got one thing?
No. We're not going back there, Muhammad. I mean, prime directive against protocol. If we screw up one, yeah, well then we screw up one. You may have an inkling of an argument there, but it happens all the time around here.
Did I ask for a retrial? I merely asked a procedural question. If you want to admit you made a mistake with Baker, I'm fine with that.
How about I admit I made a mistake with Baker? Anybody got a problem with that?
Imperfection we find in all things.
I see beauty in imperfections.
I was not allowed to impeach much on the last case. I wouldn't mind another shot, Lucifer.
Now, I'm sure you're licking your chops. In fact, since Gotama's going to impeach or represent, and Thalia's a little too new to be a part of this kind of case like this, you're the girl. But I want it done with a minimum of detours, all right? The man's record speaks unambiguously for itself. There's no chance of mental ineptitude on this one.
I'll do my best.
All right, Hitchens case.
All right. Well, you're all going to be surprised to hear this, but I like this man. In fact, I share most of the ingredients of his criticisms for religion, all kinds, not just Christianity. You know, he's a free thinker, an anti-establishment, a questioner, a seeker. He wants to see the proof. And as you all may recall, in my time in the world, I often had to present in physical form some of my core teachings. There was always a few in the crowd who needed to see it to believe it. And I know you expect me to rant a volume on the disrespect of a mortal who attacks the validity of my teachings. Not so. You know, there aren't much in those old teachings that I agree with myself these days. I was young, living in a young time. You know, I got a bit carried away. Regardless, Hitchens must move forward. If for no other reason, then there isn't much down there he hasn't already shredded. Give the man a new bone to chew.
What the hell kind of impeachment was that?
Esteemed ones, there is something to be learned from what Jesus has said. However, in regard to the man in question, I must present a different view. Very intelligent, yes. Organized mind, yes. Charismatic, yes. Well, most reasoned, most assuredly. However, most self-indulgent. An explosion of ego, excessive to a degree seldom seen because it is seldom possible for a mere mortal to achieve. He enjoyed his notoriety too much, I must admit. Where was the self-effacement that we admire in our noble ones? His life was an orgy of indulgence. Might he not learn more of humility if sent back?
Christ, I feel like I've been dealt a hand of hearts in a game of 5-card stud. Assailants who defend and defenders who assault. What the hell's wrong with you people today? I thought you were going to stay away from making pronounced statements. I mean, that was some pretty hard-hitting stuff. I guess it makes no difference as long as both sides get weighed out. No sense in sticking to the script if it's not necessary. Muhammad, you got anything to add?
Peculiar man, this Hitchens. I fear him as much as I love him. Let us admit, Gautama is correct. The man did little to restrain the development of his ego, but perhaps not to the extreme Gautama suggests. We've seen worse cases. Let us admit, ego is what they are given to make their way in a world of conflict. He was much oppressed by what he saw around him. A visionary who wanted a moral world to arise from a playground for criminals and debaucherers. He fought against the rampant depravity, and to do so required a strong ego. He cannot be sent back. His condition can only worsen by it.
Talia?
I took time to read some of this man's writings. There is loveliness in his language. It seems he was well inspired by one of my sisters. If humility can be concealed, then I do see it within the bluster. His overriding concern was for humanity and not for himself, though, like any mortal, he could enjoy personal compliment and physical pleasure. I agree that a world of difficulty is the one that we give them to live in, but I expect that we cannot expect that degree of mastery. Perhaps Gautama could overcome all of the temptations, but as I said, we cannot expect that degree of mastery before we send them on. I would like to say this as well. Shouldn't we have at our disposal a set of firm standards, some criteria that we can apply to each case? It seems to me we are relying solely on transitory recollections and our own personal histories and biases to render each judgment. I am one to normally welcome the impulses of a free mind, but only when carefully filtered should they be accepted.
Nope. We tried the standards thing. I mean, there's too much of a tendency among all the panelists. I never met one that could stick to the script. There's just too much of a tendency to freewheel things among the candidates. I mean, we even talked about trying to automate the process one time. I talked to a computer programmer about maybe setting up something that we could crunch all the data and it would give us the most acceptable result. In the end, we don't have that kind of talent up here anyway. I mean, we tried it, thought about it, but in the end, standards don't prove any more effective than the old ways.
You have all had much more experience than I have. I like most of what I hear said on this panel. You're all very bright and experienced. My own experience lies with less practical matters and focuses limited on focusing to find the best in mortals and nourishing their potential. I find it not difficult really to agree with all of your judgments. Please take my comments as naive suggestions only. I see little harm in sending back any who might gain from it, even if only in small ways. But on the other hand, if more can be gained by sending them back, well, who could oppose that? I simply wonder if the process is too subjective. It seems that their fate would depend just as much as who was on the panel as on anything they could have done or failed to do in their earthly life.
Well, I appreciate your ideas on this, Talia, but from my experience, standards are just like a smokescreen. In order to develop them, I've got to appoint another panel, and then there we go, right back to subjectivity again. I mean, if we implement them, we're going to see a flood of souls headed back down. I mean, it's a logistics issue, really. You might say we have an imperative to send on anybody that we can, anybody who has a half a chance of making it.
I see. But I didn't hear that in the fundamental assumptions you recited.
Well, no, but the assumptions are just kind of a point of reference, you know, a framework, something to kind of give us some boundaries. First, we got to determine if they're ready. That's the really hard part.
So it appears.
It seems to me that Hitchens is a good candidate to move on. Anyone disagree?
Perhaps some counseling in his case as well. Some practice in the arts of self-regulation and mindfulness.
Gautama would have us set up a permanent holding place for everyone to get his or her head right before moving on. I'm sorry, but I have to agree with Lucifer on this one. That stuff is for the earthly life. It doesn't work here. I mean, if we keep setting up more levels, how are they ever going to get to the top?
Have to get off the tits sometime. Can't help them any more than that. Still the teacher, huh, Gautama? I got off that train a long time back. Nothing teaches like experience. Let them go.
Jesus Mohammed, you two are starting to sound the same notes. Kind of like that.
Please.
Well, Twain, I could impeach myself. You know, there aren't many who come in here with such a tangled group of avenues to explore. Kind of like a street map of Philadelphia drawn by a cross-eyed drunkard. Anybody want to take a shot at the old boy?
This is not one I paid much attention to while he was down there. I assumed he was overrated. America was hard-pressed for talent in his time. What, could they only find 2 guys in the entire country capable of leading an army into war? Even Grant was a mixed blessing. But I guess Twain kept them laughing. It's a feeble virtue to keep a country of backwoods dimwits and wannabe aristocrats shaking their fat bellies for a few hours, but I guess he can't be damned for it.
You might try compiling a dictionary of stereotypes, my uncompromising one-man freak show. Of course. I mean, they only built the strongest nation on the planet within nearly being bombed into oblivion. I mean, gosh, they were a nation of Christians, for the most part. I mean, how many nations of Islam do they have to help back to their feet after all their self-inflicted disaster?
Sell that Christian nation shit to the American Indians, if you can find any left alive. Sell it to the blacks.
You miss my point. Of course they were misguided by their own degraded teachings and religious leaders. I mean, after all of the brutality and the bigotry, no more than what you'd find in any other part of the world, there was a lot of progressive thinking and a lot of progressive doing. I could recall the Declaration of Independence, the Emancipation Proclamation.
Sure, the first borrowed from the English philosophers and the Greeks. The second issued only as a political maneuver. Not even Lincoln completely bought into it.
You know, I don't think any of us need a history lesson, okay? America, a mixture of good and bad. Pretty much the same thing with the rest of the globe. What are we going to do about Twain?
A funny man. Humor is what is left after you boil away all the matter. It is the final vapor arising from the pot, free of entanglements. A man who abandons all to humor knows the world for what it is. You must step aside and allow for such a one to move on.
This man's humor has been one of my favorite projects. Oh, perhaps I am a little too familiar with him. This is not to say he was without worldly interests. Those interests became the sources of his humor, its grounding. How could a humorist make his art in a world that satisfied every need, that lived up to expectations? The question to be asked is whether he made fun of everything. For if not everything, then that which escaped his bar would be a weakness in his philosophy, an inconsistency. Most assuredly, he must make fun of himself, and not just to ingratiate. I have known many a humorist who were never able to get past the idea of making a name for themselves. As Gautama might say, they were never able to get their ego out of their trade. They were performers looking for applause, not teachers. Well, I have run on a bit, haven't I? I can't say that Mark Twain was not a man out for himself. He knew pleasure and enjoyed fame. He sought material riches. These are evident in the record, but I had more of an insider's view, so to speak. Not exactly reading minds, but observing their private behaviors. Beneath the glory of playing for the world's attention was a heart sincerely concerned with the welfare of his fellow man. Like one of Gautama's bodhisattvas or Mohammed's desert mystics, he saw past the worldly while enjoying his stay in it. We could send him back, but the results would be the same, I think.
I gotta admit, I was a little hard on Twain. It's just I really liked his interviews. I loved them. I mean, I never got tired of his mannerisms or his reactions to my unfair criticisms. Even when times changed and tastes moved on, I still liked listening to his stories. I made him sit through too many interviews, probably.
As I see it, cynicism and humor are the two reactions to an earthly life accurately perceived. Today we have Hitchens and Twain, two excellent examples of each. As I see it, cynicism closes up the house, while humor opens the door to new experience and ideas.
Cynicism feeds the ego. It is a diet of honey and milk, sweet to the taste, but defiling within. Should we not expect to see a diminishment of ego as a final marker of readiness, no match to the justifications of the cynicism?
Escape from this. Avoid that. Kill your thinking. This is your answer for everything, Gautama. I don't mean to criticize the effectiveness of your techniques, but what's the point when we have given mortals a brain precisely for thinking? Isn't that what makes their lives interesting? As for humor, I'd say that sounds a bit too much like never taking a stand on anything. No one thing is a higher value than another. That's too open. That allows the wind to blow into the house all sorts of crap. I'm not convinced this Twain holds the kinds of values we want to see.
And what are those values, Mohammed? That is exactly what I mean by standards. You have values, I have values, Jesus has values, and so on.
All right, we don't have to agree on values, all right? We just try to find a balance point that's on the recycle side and send them back. Now, I really don't want to talk about process anymore today. It's been a long one for me. Hell, I thought we'd be through this bunch in 5 minutes.
You remember when Martin Luther came through here? I mean, we fought for 3 hours on whether his acts to loosen the hold of the Catholic Church were enough to outweigh his personal indulgences. I mean, most of us thought that his acts were mainly to satisfy his desires for notoriety and attention, not to expand religious freedoms. Sometimes good things come from selfish actions. How are we supposed to weigh them against each other?
In our own sadly insufficient heads. Carefully, I hope.
Ugh, my head hurts. This Twain, send him on.
All right then. Like you, they're all dreamers. Earthly life is a dream most heavily dreamt. Ghastly. Wondrous. So perfectly disguised. The perfect dream, really. With all its imperfections. An imperfect, perfect dream. What follows should be another. What else is a dreamer going to do?